Hello, Peggies. I'm Andrew, and did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
Doing the exact same f***ing thing over and over again, expecting shit to change.
But if hoping that a video game movie will actually be good makes me crazy, then just call me Trevor Phillips.
Last one standing.
The Far Cry series has always excelled at creating memorable moments in cinematic settings, and Hope County, Montana from Far Cry 5 is no different. It's like you're living inside a Netflix documentary about killer cults, a feeling aided by the awesome live-action promo film released in the run-up. That really got me wishing desperately for a Far Cry movie until I watched one that already existed. Let's turn the dial back to 2008. When GTA 4 tore up the charts, Valve actually made new IPs like Left 4 Dead, and the Wii continued to dominate the market. 2008 also saw the release of Far Cry, a movie based on Crytek's 2004 first-person shooter, and directed by the worst person to happen to video games since Jack Thompson, Uwe Boll.
I hate video games.
On today's episode of Cutscene, we're taking a look at the ill-advised adaptation to see where it went wrong and talk about the Far Cry movie Time Forgot. If you watched the episode of Cutscene we did on Doom, you'll know that its biggest problem was that they based it on the wrong game. Instead of adapting the 1993 original, they used the atmosphere of the less iconic Doom 3. Far Cry has the exact opposite problem. It took a few games for the series to become what it is today, but for the movie, they jumped the gun. How would you even define Far Cry? There's an underlying theme of man versus wilderness, of losing your humanity in a wide open world and finding the warrior within. But beyond that, the games have almost nothing in common. Whether it's battling malaria and mercenaries in a war-torn Africa or leading a Himalayan revolution, every entry stands on its own with unique settings, spanning from the prehistoric era to the neon synthwave future of Blood Dragon. Boy, was that game a spicy meatball.
Let's show them how cyber commandos get it done.
Mark Force style, motherfucker!
Pretty much any Far Cry game would make for an awesome movie, except the first one, which is, of course, the one that they ended up filming.
On a scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate me?
2.
A 2. A 2.
Even though it's the first game, Far Cry 1 is an outlier in the series. It's the only game developed by Crytek before Ubisoft took over the franchise. And unlike its subsequent open-world sequels, Far Cry is actually a linear shooter, with a wisecracking protagonist named Jack Carver.
Now, I know you won't believe me until I've got a gun pointed at your head, but it's true.
In the grand tradition of the names Duke Nukem or Serious Sam. It's less Apocalypse Now and more James Bond as you infiltrate an island stronghold controlled by a mad scientist named Dr. Krieger and his army of genetically modified monsters. The story isn't as deep as, say, Jason Brody's metamorphosis into a cold-blooded killer, but it could have made for a fun, cheesy action fest in the vein of Cobra or Commando. But, and this is the sad part, when you watch the movie, the only part of it that feels like genuine Far Cry is when our hero distracts a guard by throwing a rock.
Check the wood line. 9 o'clock.
That's it. No towers, no skinning badgers into holsters, no adorable doggies to pet whenever you damn well please. And yes, I know, none of that stuff is in the first game anyway.
How did you know that?
Still, even if they made a Far Cry 3 movie with Michael Mando playing Vaas, it still would have been utter garbage in the hands of Uwe Boll. Where the f*** do I even start with this guy? His abuse of a German tax law that lets his movies lose millions while still showing a profit?
Do you see what I'm trying to tell you? You could have raised $1 million, put on a $60,000 flop, and kept the rest.
But what if the play was a hit?
Well, then you'd go to jail.
His penchant for flying off the handle and threatening to kick his critics' asses, then actually beating the shit out of them in real boxing matches? Uwe Boll has all the directing talent of Tommy Wiseau, without the quick wit and charming personality.
What a story, Mark.
And if you're a believer in the potential for games in cinema, like me, His name should send chills straight down your spine. Games have always struggled to be seen as a legitimate art form, but Boll and his string of awful adaptations in the 2000s has set the cost back decades. I have no idea how he conned so many game publishers into handing over the rights to their precious IPs, but once he got his hands on them, he milked them for all it's worth.
Boll, I'm Vince Desi. What the fuck you do to my game Postal?
I don't know what your fucking problem is. The movie is great.
Oh shit.
On top of House of the Dead, Postal, and Far Cry, he pumped out 2 Alone in the Dark movies, 3 Blood Rains, and of course, the prestigious Dungeon Siege trilogy, starring who else but Ray Liotta.
How do you like my krug?
They are a cruel abomination.
If I think of dungeons, if I think of dragons, if I think of swords being swiped, all I can think in my mind is the fantasy majesty of Ray Liotta.
No one's going to Barovia, Karen.
Now, most Boll adaptations pretty much disregard the games they're taken from. But to Far Cry's credit, it actually sticks pretty close to the source material. Way more than his other masterpieces like House of the Dead, which could be more accurately titled Spring Break Zombie Rave.
Game over.
Sounds like fun. All-American Jack Carver is played by Inglourious Bastard's Till Schweiger, who doesn't even try to hide his Hugo Stieglitz accent.
Everybody in the German army's heard of Hugo Stieglitz.
Very sorry, but I don't know anyone by that name.
And schlocky horror icon Udo Kier is great as the scenery-chewing villain. Look, I've got nothing against bad movies.
Garbage Day! Huh? No!
In the right environment with the right mind-altering substances, they can be an absolute blast. Hi, Mom. But in the hands of Uwe Boll, this film is a far cry from fun. When I think of Far Cry, I picture lush paradises, exotic locales, and jungles filled with pine trees. Now, when a real movie takes place in a tropical setting, the cast and crew usually slather on some bug spray and tough it out on location, or at least someplace warm, but why bother with an expensive shoot in Micronesia when you can just schlep on up to Canada? The movie reportedly cost $30 million, but I'll be damned if I can see it. They rented a nice pier, some guns, and a lot of pancake makeup, but besides that, it just looks like your typical direct-to-DVD action flick. The problem with Far Cry is that it's not even entertainingly bad. Boll is at his most competent here, with clear and readable action, a pretty solid boat chase, and some honestly impressive parkour fight scenes. And I have to hand it to him, he's not bad at shooting people getting sawed in half. Honestly, what really kills Far Cry is his horrible sense of humor. I mean, what do you expect from the man who brought us Postal, one of the most offensive and offensively bad atrocities ever committed to film? From Jack's terrible one-liners to the most annoying action comedy relief since Rob Schneider, Boll's attempts at humor would bomb even if they were delivered by halfway decent actors.
You mind if we sit? I mean, I have a feeling this is gonna take a while.
Sure.
At least Anthony Bourdain doesn't speak in his cameo. Yeah, Anthony Bourdain is in this movie, and it's because he was just filming his own show nearby, and then he just kind of wandered onto set, and they were like, yeah, we'll kill you. You would think that the bad dialogue would at least make it easier to sit through, or funny.
Wait a minute, do you say friends? Yeah, hi, excuse me, yeah, I don't know these people.
But even Mike and the bots from MST3K would probably have a hard time making Far Cry entertaining. If you're going to watch a disposable action flick, you can do a lot better. But admittedly, as an adaptation, you could do a lot worse. It's just taken from a game that doesn't necessarily represent what Far Cry has become. After Boll grew tired of video games and the German tax loophole closed, he churned out a few more violent exploitation flicks before
So goodbye and goodbye Hollywood.
That leaves a clear path for a new Far Cry movie, safe from his pestilent touch. The rights are in Ubisoft's hands again, and they're producing a film based on the third game as we speak. Sounds great, but given how their Assassin's Creed movie turned out, I'm gonna hold judgment until I see the final film. I know you guys love it, you've commented about how much you love the Assassin's Creed movie. It's not for me.
What do you want from me?
every time a new game adaptation is announced, I always get my hopes up, only to walk away disappointed. Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
Doing the exact same fucking thing over and over and over and over and over again, thinking this time is gonna be different.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. Far Cry as a movie is a complete anomaly to me, but I want to know which game you think would be the better movie. Do you want to see Primal on screen, Blood Dragon, even 4? Let me know in the comments. As always, please subscribe to NowThis Nerd. And if you get dropped in a tropical rainforest, skin every animal you find.